At Camp Kirblog, we burn fires at a log, and it sucks, because we just don't give a fuck. Welcome. If anybody knows what that is in reference to, you are my friend for all eternity, except not really, because I probably don't know you if you're an obscure enough human being to know anything about As Told by Ginger. Hi, welcome. I'm joined by a guest. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, hello. Do you want to reintroduce yourself, as you haven't been on in like 2 years since the first Kirblog I ever did with someone other than just myself, actually, all the way back at fucking Running Gag, 2014.
Well, I mean, we did a Kirblog for Axe stuff though, and so I was.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
I've been on 3 of your Kirblogs now.
Technically, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
I apologize. How could I forget our lovely friends at Axe Studios? How
dare
of me.
you?
Yes, clearly. But I will either way tell everybody out there, if they don't already know who you are from the preview image or whatever.
I'm Brittany Lauda. Chris is my friend. We're going to talk about friendly stuff like torture camps.
Well, not the type of torture camps that you might be thinking of. I hope to God not. No, I can't even remember exactly what it was. This was not a topic submitted by somebody through a question. Just something was reminding me recently of some funny stories about when I used to go to day camp years ago, and I wanted to have at least a guest with me. And as it turned out, as I put a little call out on my Facebook, of like, oh, who has some funny day camp stories? And Brittany had some because she also has worked as a counselor at a day camps before, and I have not.
I went to the same camp for 10 years, and then I worked as a counselor for, I believe, 5 years.
At the same one that you went to,
at the same one that I went to, yeah.
As a camper.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
And see, I don't understand why I worked there for so long when I hated going there.
Was it easy money? Was it good money?
I mean, it didn't pay me well either. They paid like minimum wage, and I was treated like shit. So I don't.
Oh, so then clearly you were in like an abusive relationship with this camp for it just been for so long. You were just so used to it that you just loved it. Clearly,
I definitely didn't love it.
That's not okay, Brittany. You gotta see somebody about that.
It was. You know what I think it was though? It was because it was so close to where I lived, so I would just walk there. I didn't need a car or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just walk there. It was at the beach by my house.
Mm-hmm.
You know the one I'm talking
and this
about.
This was on Long Island.
Yeah. It was on Long Island.
Okay, because Brittany and I were both born and raised in the suburbs of Long Island, New York, for all our lives. At one point, we lived like down the fucking street from each other for like a while and didn't even realize it, which is hilarious to me.
It's pretty funny. That was my first year not working at that day camp.
Oh, good. So I got you like post-mortem from the torture of 15 years.
I was finally like, you know what? Let's try something different.
You know, I respect myself, and I'm gonna not do this anymore.
I was like, stop doing this to yourself, Brittany.
Well, you've already got me, beaten in the fact that you went to day camp for 10 years. Like, 'cause I don't even think I went for that long. I went for many years in a row, much to my chagrin, to a place called Camp We Love 'em, which was, I want to say a good, maybe half hour away or so from where I lived. I can't even remember exactly where it was, but so that was the day camp that I went to as a very, very young lad. This was actually before Pokemon was even out, so it was like the early 90s to mid-90s or so. I don't think I was still going by the time that the mid-2000s were happening. I think by the time I was in like middle school, I was like, I'm done. I'm good. Okay, actually, here's a question. So, Brittany, have you ever actually been to like actual camp, or have you only ever been to day camp before?
Like camp, like sleepaway camp?
Yeah, like real, like in the wilderness, like with like pitch tents and shit like that kind of camp.
No. I went to this day camp, which was beach camp.
Mm-hmm.
So it was at a beach. It was awful. But never sleepaway camp or anything. I think, did I go to any other camps as a kid? I have this really distant memory of going to bug camp. And like I'm pretty sure it was actually out outdoors on like trails and stuff, and we talked about bugs. I must have been like kindergarten or first grade, and I went because my cousin was going. And the only reason I remember this is because I stole one of his Pokemon cards, and I stole a Ghastly from him, and I hid it under the bench at bug camp. And then it rained, and the next day I go to get it, and I'm like, why did I steal this card? It rained where I hid it. Now this Ghastly is ruined.
Wow. See, that's what you pay. That's what you get for being a fucking delinquent. Like,
I wanted his Ghastly, and he wasn't going to give it to me. So I was like, yo.
so I just took it. I mean, it was clearly the right thing to do. I mean,
Clearly. I don't
you
even know if
work. You should go fucking work for Team Rocket.
I don't know if I ever told him that. I should tell him that one day. He probably won't even remember.
Oh, do you still know the guy?
It was my cousin.
Oh.
Yeah, it was my cousin.
I would imagine you still know the guy, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, no, I still know him. But knowing him, I would highly doubt he remembers it.
Okay. Actually, on the note of the beach camp thing, because I lived like near a beach for like 9 years on Long Island, and I believe that one year, I think it maybe even might have been in place of going to Camp We Love 'Em for so long. I went to a beach camp, and it was actually the one, maybe just because I didn't go there for super long, but I think it was the one place I had been to, like one like day camp-esque kind of thing that I had ever been to that I didn't hate because, excuse me, I think just it was within an area that I was already pretty familiar with and lived close by to, and it wasn't really that bad, I guess. And like I met other kids and I got along with them pretty okay. And I remember I remember this. I designated each of them to be a robot master from Mega Man, and then I drew each of us as that robot master. So like I had like a team of like, you're Bubble Man, and you're Elect Man, and you're Dark Man, and you're Metal Man, or I think I made myself Metal Man because he was my favorite at the time. And they were like kind of nice, and it was like pretty like, okay, whatever, But I guess so with my, because I'm older than you by a little bit. So my experience at Camp We Love 'Em, which was the most consistent one I went to, I had been there for enough years in a row, and sadly I can't remember the names of any of the counselors, but I went enough to the point where a lot of them remembered who I was. I don't know if they necessarily remembered me as a problem child of some sort, but they remembered me. And I have very, very, very few memories of being happy at all for the years that I went to Camp We Love 'Em. In fact, it was strange because I think whatever my current obsession at the time was whatever managed to like get me through just like dealing with like, cause it was with a lot of like really like dickish kind of kids who probably were also acting that way because they didn't want to be there either. And I was just kind of like sitting back and fucking dealing with it. And, it was never anything, in retrospect, it was never anything really like that bad. That story is actually for later, the that bad kind of stuff. But yeah, I basically, there's one particular year I remember. I think this would have been 97 or 98, that summer. And Star Fox 64 had come out on the Nintendo 64. So you would have been an ovule, Brittany, at that time.
What is that supposed to mean?
It's supposed to mean that you're 12. And not really.
I'm not 12.
Oh, well.
I was alive back then, okay?
Okay.
I was born in 93, Chris.
Ew, gross. So you were a toddler. Ew. You were a toddler when I was playing Star Fox 64. Get out of my life.
I was probably playing it too. I didn't have Star Fox, to be fair. But I was still playing an N64 around the same time.
When you were 4?
Yeah, actually. I had my mother read Zelda to me so I could play it. And you can ask her that, and she'll be like, yeah, my daughter is a demon child, and made
oh my God.
me read Legend of Zelda to her.
So while you were off being a demon Team Rocket delinquent child, I was playing Star Fox 64. And I remember, so I went to Camp We Love 'Em, and I was trying to find solace in any kind of enjoyment whatsoever. And I was surrounded by so many asshole, like not even like bully kids, but just like kids who were just jerks. Like they were just not pleasant to be around. And I found 3 other kids. I can't even remember what their names were, but there were 3 other kids who I found to be tolerable, and they were like kind of cool to me. So I was like, I'm Fox McCloud, and these other 3 kids will be Falco, Peppy, and Slippy. based on whatever like vague personality traits that they happen to share with the other Star Fox team members. I don't think I've ever even told this story to Mac, which he should know. So if he ever hears the story, yeah. And, oh, by the way, to anybody listening, my connection, my internet connection has been utter shit this past week over Skype. So if there's any kind of technical hiccups or weird pauses, I'll try my best to edit them out. But Brittany is only ever hearing bits and pieces of what I'm saying. Isn't that right, Brittany? Who can totally hear what I'm saying right now?
I hear you
yeah,
now.
totally. Good. You're hearing all the things I'm saying about Star. Okay, so I had a Star Fox team of kids that I found to be tolerable at this camp, right?
Okay, yeah.
So of the four most consistent douchebag kids that were bothering me, I allocated each of them as Wolf, Leon, Pigma, and Andrew. And I remember that, okay, first of all, the Andrew kid like wanted to be part of my Star Fox team, but he was like being really annoying. I think he was younger, so I can't blame him too much. He wasn't being a dick. I think he was probably just at worst being annoying. So which is probably why I made him Andrew, because Andrew was the annoying one, or I designated him as Andrew. But he was like, "Come on, I want to be part of Star Fox or whatever." And then the Andrew equivalent kid, the Pigma equivalent kid, and the Leon equivalent kid, all three of them just so happened to get into accidents where they got hurt. Like one of them fell down, one of them like got like a scrape, or one of them like got hit or something, and maybe one of them was like bleeding or whatever. Like little like minor like kid accidents, nothing serious, but something like that happened to each of them, except for the kid who I established as Wolf. And to me, that was like, this is just like on Fortuna. You're not going to understand this, Brittany. I apologize. But this is just like on Fortuna when you fight the Star Wolf team and you defeat all of them and there's one more to go. And Wolf is the one who happens to get away and then the bomb explodes and you fucked up the mission. I was like, I consider this summer a failure because Wolf was not defeated. So therefore, this camp year for me was fucking miserable and I hate it. Fuck it off. So that was the first year that I recall at the time. I think after that was then when Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z, the twofold strike of that came up. But before I go into that, I want you to share some stories from your early years. So I was, by the way, also just to set the stage too before you go in, I was probably about like 10 or so during that year. So as far back as you can remember, the youngest you were at day camp, what are some shitty stories that you have from that time?
Shitty stories. Okay, well, I remember it was like, the 90s, so our parents didn't want to like, pick us up if it rained at day camp. They had jobs, so back in the 90s, what I found was that like the camp would always be open, even if it was a fucking beach camp where there's not shelter if it rains. So what they would do is they would bring us all into this little like the one like house structure on the camp property, which was like called the casino. And it was just like, it had like bathrooms, a really shitty kitchen, and then just like a empty space that had like games and like lots of sand because it was a beach camp and there was sand in it. So if it rained, what they would do is they'd bring all of the kids into this little place and they'd put a movie on, and it's like, it's the 90s and there's like just like a big box, not even a big box, like a small box TV, like, so there's all these kids sitting on little rug squares and towels, and we'd watch movies in the rain. I remember that being awful. It was always
how many kids were all stuffed into this house together?
Okay, so I feel like when I was a kid, there weren't as many children that went to this camp as there were when I was actually being a counselor there. So like I feel like it was like, I don't know, it wasn't when I was a counselor there was at least like 50 or more kids at this camp.
Oh wow.
But like, because there was like about at least 10 to 20 kids per like group. But when I was as a kid, I feel like there were like maybe 30, maybe. But that could be just my memory serving me poorly. But I just remember being cramped in there, and it was sandy and gross, and we would watch.
So a little tiny house with like 30 kids all huddled around a little tiny ass CRT television set,
watching Grease Lightning for the millionth time.
Is that the one tape that they had there?
Yeah, we watched that a lot, and I feel like there was like maybe like The Rescuers we watched.
That's not bad.
Maybe, but definitely Grease. Like Grease was a common occurrence. And what I hated the most, though, was that we had to do swimming lessons and like.
Oh God! At the beach.
At the beach. Have you ever been to the beach I'm talking about?
I actually don't know the beach that you're talking about.
It's the one at the end of Adams.
I know. I don't think I've been to that one, or if I have, I don't remember
it's
it.
Shitty. And so this beach.
Wait, hold on. Is it the one that's like it's just like the sand is just like rocks? Or is that a different one I'm thinking of?
I mean, like, on low tide, the sand is rocks. I don't want to, like, outright say it and out where we live.
No, of course, yeah. I don't think. No, okay, no. She just typed it to me. No, I've not been to that one before, so either way.
It's like this beach, but it's really a beach in a harbor, so the water doesn't really move in and out. So, like, it does have low and high tides, but the water is fairly stagnant. And, you know, you have boats going in and out because they're going to, they're docking their boats and they go out to go into the Sound, Long Island Sound. So, so the beach is really shitty. And the water is really fucking nasty. Like, if it rained, we couldn't go in the water for days after because of bacteria. Which is something I feel like didn't really happen when I was a kid, but as a counselor, they were suddenly like, okay, we have to pay attention to these contaminant warnings that the water is going to kill the children. But, like, as a kid, we were always forced into it. And I remember, like, throwing fits. Like, I would not go in that water, and I would get yelled at, and, like they would yell at me all the time and like force me into the water, and
oh my God,
like, refused to go, and like I managed to like skip out on like a decent amount of these swimming lessons by like hiding or temper tantrums, but they would at one point I remember them sitting me down with like the camp director and being like, she won't go in the freaking water, and they're like, Brittany, why won't you go in the water? And I was like, because I hate it. They're like, well, you have to learn how to swim. I was like, I know how to swim, I have a swimming pool, goddammit.
Okay, I actually don't remember because I feel like I would be the type of problem child to totally be met with by the fucking camp director at the one that I went to, but I don't think I ever actually did that. So you have topped me in that department, like straight up.
Oh, it wouldn't have been the first time. Here's another story from Brittany being a problem child. At one point, there was this guy at the camp, and I mean, we must have been like 5 or 6, but the guy like really liked me. Okay. And he kept on, like, coming on to me as a kid. So, like, you know, wanting to hang out
Wait,
with
what?
me.
Whoa,
Like,
hold on.
He was a kid.
Okay, I was like, hold on a minute. Excuse me.
He was a kid.
Jesus Christ.
But he wanted to hang out with me. And, like, you know, he was, like making kissy faces and shit at me. And I was not having any of it. I didn't want anything to do with that. So I fucking scratched the kid's back. And he had
Turns out he was totally into that.
He had a scar for years. Like, we grew up going to the same camp together, and he would go swimming. You would see the scar on his back.
Oh my God.
Brittany scratching him at 5 years old. And I had to, like, write an apology letter, and, like, his mom yelled at me and shit. My mom got mad at me. And
wow.
I was like, well, I didn't want anything to do with him, and he just kept on, like, liking me. I hate it.
Oh my God. See, if anything, now in today's age, with how, you know, much more like understandably protective people are, you would have been like, yeah, you scratch that piece of shit, that fucking harassing, you know, kid or whatever.
Yeah, and everyone else was like, come on, why are you being so mean? Why'd you do that to him? He just wanted to be your friend. And I was like, that's not friendship.
It's not friendship. That was bad touching, sexual harassment, borderline shit at 5 years old.
So I scratched the kid.
Well, you know what? I'm glad. That's such a fucking anime type thing of this bad guy who was trying to go after me. I got my revenge by scarring him for life, and now he has this is the super heroine that resisted against me, and she defeated me, and I'll never forgive her, and etc. And scorned like evil lover type character.
I mean, he definitely doesn't still have the scar. That'd be crazy.
Oh man,
that'd be crazy.
I
don't think.
I was kind of hoping because if you guys were 5 and your skin was like frail enough that it just would have been permanently ingrained into his back forever. It's like, I got this from a girl. I learned my lesson early on, kids. Well, the next year for me, and I actually wanted to see if you had any, similar experiences, which it sounds like you do, because it sounds like there were some consistent folks in your life from this time. So there was one year, and I believe it might have been two kids in the same year. So there was one year at Camp We Love Them I went to so I went to 2 different elementary schools when I was young. I went to one for kindergarten to 2nd grade, and then a different one for 3rd to 5th grade. The second one of which is where I met Mike Lucas, who y'all know of. And when I went to Camp We Love Them one year, I believe it was right before I went to middle school, because then the kids that I knew from both of those elementary schools all got put together under the same school district, so we all went to middle school and high school together. But I saw this old friend of mine from early elementary school named Kyle, who was there, and he was a much better master, I remember, of just owning this sucks. This sucks. Nobody wants to be here, but I'm going to just enjoy the shit out of it the best I possibly can. And I'm like, okay, yeah. So I kind of tried to take a nod from that as best as I could. And like I was saying, that was the same year that I think that the twofold strike of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Both kind of hit. And I remember that I think it was that same year, I'm pretty sure, I managed to drag Mike Lucas into Camp We Love Him with me, and he went with me. And I remember him looking at me and being like, I can't believe you talked me into this shit. This is the worst. And I'm like, I'm sorry. But so I made him suffer together that summer with me, unfortunately. But I think also because we were so big into Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Or not Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Wasn't even out yet. Pokemon and Dragon Ball, we were just really just we were making everything that was ever happening, every single fucking activity that was happening that entire time into something that had anything to do with either of those franchises, and just, tried our absolute best to have a good time with it and just go to town or whatever. It didn't work very well. It might have been a little bit of a less miserable time just because we were older and we were a little bit smarter and knew how to work the system better, I guess, and just we'll just go over and play these board games or just keep to ourselves and not do whatever, but it was still pretty shitty. And but the fact that I dragged one of my friends into it. Did you ever have any years where good friends of yours from high school or middle school or elementary school or whatever were also there with you and they were suffering with you? Did that make it any better or any worse?
So most of the people I went to camp with were people I despised.
Oh boy.
They're all people that today, I would tell suck a dick. Most of them I hated. I hated them during camp because they would make fun of me. I hated them during high school because they would make fun of me. So most of those people I didn't get along with. There's a few exceptions with an on and off friendship I had with someone who I went to preschool with, who during camp, he didn't go as we got older, I don't think, but he was a counselor when I was there.
Okay.
And, he was a counselor while I was a counselor.
Right.
I remember being in camp with him when we were really young, and then I remember being a counselor and him being there, and so there was a period of time where we weren't really close friends, and that's when we were older at camp, and I don't really remember him being there, but we're really close friends now again, and I enjoyed when we were younger, when we were still friends, when we were younger, we were good friends. We would steal his older brother's lunch all the time, like clockwork. we would steal his older brother's lunch. And that was funny. And I had, unfortunately, one of his older brothers passed away last year. And he was someone who was very vivid in my camp memories because he was a counselor of ours and a co-counselor when I got old enough and I was a counselor, and everyone loved him. And we were fondly reflecting on how great of a counselor he was and how we had some good memories for that. And then I was like, yo, you remember when we used to steal your oldest brother's lunch all the time? And he was like, hell yeah, I do. And that was always pretty
Tell me
fun.
you got caught at least once.
We literally sat there and took his lunchbox and would be like, yeah, Joe, thanks for these snacks, and like leave him with nothing. And he would just sit there and be like,
oh my God.
And it was my first time seeing him. Like, I know this is kind of like a sad way of saying it, but it was my first time seeing Joe, my friend Jake's oldest brother, at Jake's second oldest brother's funeral. And, like, immediately I had recognized him and he had recognized me, and I couldn't help but think in my head, I steal your lunch all the time, and you let me.
That poor guy. Joe, sorry, man.
Sorry, Joe.
Oh, my God.
But Jake and I would always do that, and that was, like clockwork. I also remember when we were younger, and, like I said, when we were younger, we were friends, and then we kind of weren't very close, and we're close now again. When we were younger, you were talking about Star Fox. I remember Jake and I playing various Nintendo 64 games together after camp.
That's cool.
And I remember that, and that was always fun. And then I had one other friend who I was closest with in, like, middle school and high school, but on the tail end of day camp, we became better friends, and his name was Phil, and I have this one distinct memory, like, in 4th grade, we became better friends because we were in the same class together, and he had this, like this little lizard figure that, like, we played with in 4th grade, and we used to, like, paint it and stuff, and I forget, it had a name or something, but we, like, really liked it. It was our buddy. And someone at the camp fucking took it out of his bag and threw it in the water.
Oh, my God.
And we were so upset. We were like, that was our buddy, our Komodo dragon buddy. How dare you?
What a fucking asshole. No, you know what? I was just about to say, I never, and I think I just preemptively knew.
Oh, wait, hold on. I think it was the kid who I fucking scratched the back of who threw it.
Wait, really? Oh, my God. Well, I mean...
Revenge.
I don't even know if I can necessarily blame. No, I'll blame him. Fuck it, whatever. Fuck that kid. No, I think I preemptively knew, like, I cannot bring any of my toys to day camp with me. I was way too afraid. Because, you know what? I think by that point, I'm pretty sure my Game Boy had been stolen at one point by that time. So I was probably just like, you know what? I'm not even going to fucking risk it. Because I know that if I bring, like I think I forget if I've talked about this on another Kirblog before, but I had, like a Bowser plushie that was, like, my pal for, like, way too long as a kid, and, like, I maybe I had, like, a heart to, like, oh, maybe I'll bring him with me, but I'm like, no, somebody will take him and throw him over a fence, and I'll never see Bowser again, and I can't fucking take that risk, and I never did. But yeah, I don't even think that we had board games, but I don't think we had, like, toys, probably because they knew the kids would have stolen them if we brought those in.
Right.
But yeah, like, God, you really were a little fucking delinquent when you were a young chitlin, weren't you?
I was, like, the odd one out. People were, like, they hated me because I was weird. Like, I was a weird kid. And, like, then when I got to, like, a certain age, I would always bring my fucking Harry Potter books to work. And, like, or not to work, but, like, to camp. And then I remember my first year as a counselor in training, I would bring my Harry Potter book to read all the time when we weren't, like, because I did, like, I think I was the art counselor in training for a while. And so we had a lot of downtime, so I would read Harry Potter a lot. And then, so people thought I was weird because of that. And then I would draw, like, Ed Elric pictures all day and sing in Japanese, and people were like, that girl's a fucking weirdo.
Well, when you were like younger, like did you like, I mean, because I did this a lot. I was an avid like pretend player. You know, I mean, the Star Fox story was one example of that. But like, did you do like I mean, especially because you're a fucking actor, you know, more so than I am. Like, did you like play pretend and role play and do like weird shit like that, like when you were a kid during camp or anything?
Yeah. Okay. So here's another fun story. This goes. It's a mix of camp and weird elementary school shit. But
okay.
One year, this new guy came to camp, and I didn't know him. And right off the bat, I didn't really like him because he was weird too. But we weren't like friendly weirdos. There was like some sort of like conflicting weirdness that we had. And he would always use hexes on me from Harry Potter. And I'd be like, fuck, dude, you can't go around and Avada Kedavra me all the time. Like, you can't do that. That's not how it works. You can't constantly kill me. Those are spells you're not supposed to use. Don't you have any respect for the Harry Potter lore? And he didn't. And he would, like, fucking do that to me all the time. And I was very upset about this.
Wait, so hold on. So he spoke your geek language, but not in the way that you wanted.
We didn't jive.
Oh my god. Wow.
And like,
Jesus.
And then like, I was so pissed. I was like, oh, that kid's so annoying. Like, he has no respect for the rules of Harry Potter. You're not supposed to use Avada Kedavra, and there he goes. He fucking does it. And like, I was very upset, and like, then I get to school on my first day of school for 5th grade, and who the fuck do I see in my class? That kid. And you know how angry I was? I was ready to, like, scream. I was like, I'm not gonna go through a year with you in my class, dude! And that kick-started, like, a year long of, like, basically, like, elementary school role play, because we would play a game where he was the bad guy, because he was obsessed with a friend of mine. And so the game was just like us, like, just like, you know, playing pretend and like bringing all of our nerdy fandoms to it. And like, that's what we did during recess. And we called it The Game. And then I remember, like, there was Digimon in it, and Pokemon, and Dragon Ball Z, and Harry Potter, and basically, like, anything we wanted to be in it. Shaman King, anything we were watching at the time.
Fucking
like, somehow
Shaman
found
King.
its way into our game. And, like, by the end of it, we're like, shit, now we're gonna go to middle school, what now? And we had one final game at the freaking beach where we went to day camp. And I don't even remember how it ended, but that was really funny. Now, like, the kid got really popular, like, once we went to middle school, and he came out as gay, and he, like, did theater stuff, and, like, now I think he's, like, a singer in a band or something. I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him in years, but my mom saw him at like a bar recently, and he's like, "What's Brittany up to?" And she's like, "She's in Pokemon." He's like, "Oh shit, cool." But like, he's also doing cool things. Like he was a good actor, and we wrote, actually in high school, we entered a play fest, which is like every grade is supposed to like create a play and act it out. We entered one, and we wrote Mean Boys, which was like a spin on Mean Girls. And so I don't know how we ended up writing it together, but we did. And then the teachers deemed it too inappropriate. I think because we called the plastics the rubbers instead. But we weren't allowed to enter our play. It was upsetting, but I think that was like the last time I talked to him.
Dude, you should find him again and put him in one of your fucking anime dubs.
I don't know. My sister said that he like was touring in Australia with his band or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I have no idea what he's up to, but he was the one weird kid at camp who grew into an also successful person, I guess, considering, you know, he's a singer in a band. I don't know what the rest of the people are up to. They're probably never going to leave our hometown. Like that's what
Oh.
it probably is. The
Well,
only
that's
other
sad.
the only other weird kids like that I was friends with, there was that guy who like he was my rival, I would say, in my last year of camp. And then my friend Jake, who was fun, and my friend Phil, who I talked about with the dragon. Oh, and my friend Riley, who is like fucking scary as hell, and he'll probably listen to this because he likes your stuff.
Oh, really? Oh, hi, Riley.
he fucking is a horror artist now.
Oh.
I'm sure he would have some good things to say about camp.
Like how? Dare I ask?
Like how terrible it was, and how it gave us all nightmares because we were all bullied by the other kids in camp.
Oh.
Yeah, we're all
It's
weirdos.
okay, Riley. Use your inner strength to overcome your horrible past.
Yeah, I'm gonna tweet to him after this, and I'll ask him if he has any good memories he wants to share.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. I mean, if you find this, I mean, obviously, like, I'm skipping ahead, but yeah, leave comments with your own stories. I'd love to hear them. But
yeah, I'll have to ask Riley what sort of stories I'm forgetting from Horror Town. Cause like really like we were bullied not even by just like the other kids, but like the counselors would bully like the weirdos.
Oh,
too.
that's fucked up.
I know. And like when I was a counselor there, I was bullied by other counselors.
See, okay, actually, here's something. I want to also have this lead into your experience about being a counselor. So I think it was the same year that I had Mike Lucas there with me. And I remember, just little minor stories. We were like pretending to do like a Dragon Ball Z fighting game thing, and like it was really early DBZ, so we were just like, we didn't even know what Frieza's powers were, and we were just kind of like, we were making like capture the flag and whatever other like outdoor games we were forced to play into, like, let's just pretend to be DBZ characters and make it less obnoxious to us or whatever. But there was this one guy, and he was a lot bigger than me, and I couldn't remember if he was another kid that was just like older or if he was actually a camp counselor. But one of the things that I was kind of introduced to was the idea of like people getting like nicknames that weren't just like a shorter version of your name. And so he was like, yeah, we're going to call you CD. Like, we're going to call you CD. Like, he was probably pretending to be like a real like New Yorker, type person. He probably wasn't at all. But he was like, yeah, we're going to call you CD. And I don't know what does that even mean? What does that stand for something? Or is it just like CD is in a compact disc? Like, what are you fucking talking about? What are you saying to me right now? So like, I don't know if that person was necessarily like shitting on me or like trying to call me something derogatory and I didn't even realize it or whatever. But like, I don't know. But okay, but when you were a counselor, so I have no idea what that kind of experience is like actually looking after kids, in this kind of context. So what, how, I mean, I'm sure it was very, very different kind of experience, but how was it, I don't know, was it better? Was it worse? Was it, I don't know, like what were kind of the weird things that came along with like, suddenly I'm on the opposite side of this, the opposite end of this scenario where now I have the power and or I have the responsibility of overseeing all these fucking brats of this generation.
I always thought that I was a really good counselor because I didn't want to be like a shithead like the counselors who I had. And I did have a lot of kids who loved me as a counselor. And that was always cool that like I had little camper buddies, but what wasn't cool was that like there's this one guy who I worked with who was a total asshole, and he was like my co-counselor for like 2 or 3 years, because I had the same group in like when they were, I guess, when they were going into 3rd grade up until their last year. No, maybe when they were going into 4th grade. I had them when they were going into 4th grade, going into 5th grade, and going into 6th grade. Okay. And then I actually had that group when they were really young, as my first group that I was a counselor in training for. And I knew some of the kids because of, I had babysat one of them, and like turned him into the total cool person he is today. And I saw him. You met him at PAX. Tommy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He was a kid I babysat. for years, and he was in my camp groups for years. So I had cool kids like that, but then I also had an asshole co-counselor who would bully me and tell the kids to dump the water that I freaking hated so much at the beach camp onto my head, which not only was gross because I hated that water, but also I had been wearing contacts at that point, and my contacts were very sensitive to water. So they would get all messed up when they would pour the water on my head, and there's been
salty and shit.
There was times where my contacts would fall out, and then I couldn't see, and then I couldn't watch the kids because I couldn't see.
Oh my God.
And he would continuously tell them to do this because he knew it pissed me off, and I didn't like it. Oh, also another thing I forgot to mention is another reason I hated the water at that camp is because every year, without flaw, if I went swimming in that water, I would get swimmer's ear, which is a kind of ear infection you get from bacteria in water.
Oh,
God.
God.
It makes your ears feel like they're full. Well, not that it feels like they're full of water. There's actual water in your ears that can't come out, and it makes you feel waterlogged. And so that was always something that would be like, oh, no, I don't want to get swimmer's ear, like, from that gross water. Don't pour it on my head. And he would always get the kids to do it. And then he would also throw a dodgeball at my face and or body. So that was always fun. Oh, and, of course, make fun of my boobs, because what mature guy doesn't make fun of a girl's boobs?
Great. Good.
So at one point, when it got, like, so much that this guy continuously bullied me, and in front of kids, too, like, really teaching the kids good shit there, he, and like, you know, he threw this dodgeball at my face several times, even though I told him to stop, and the camp director was his cousin, so she didn't give a shit what he did.
Oh, of course. And I was about to say, tell me he at least got in trouble for that shit, but no, apparently not.
And his, like, mom was and his entire family was part of the, like, board of the beach or whatever, so he didn't get in trouble for that shit. So at one point, my friend came down to the camp, and he had a rep for being, like, kind of the scary kid in high school, and, like, some people thought he was a psychopath, which I can understand because in high school he definitely came off like it. And he came down with two of his henchmen of sorts, and he threatened the guy. And he said, "You better leave Brittany alone." And the kids just stood there behind him with their arms crossed. And I mean, they weren't kids. They were like a year younger than me. And he was like, "You leave Brittany alone. Like, if I get wind that you're bullying my little sister," because he would always call me his little sister.
Oh,
if I
that's
hear that,
awesome.
And he threatened the guy, and he goes like, I'm sorry, I won't do it again.
The backtracking. That makes me happy. Hey, see, that's actually also kind of surprising.
Again.
It's okay. So this will be fixed in editing, not. No, that I'm actually kind of surprised to hear about that, because what I was expecting was that, and maybe this is stereotypical of me to perceive this, but I was expecting the kids to be a nightmare, and the other counselors who were your age to be like, okay, we're gonna get through this together. We'll because we both are older and understand each other by this point or whatever. But no, it sounds like the kids were, pretty okay, and the other people on the staff were assholes.
Yeah, it really depended, because like I said, my friend Jake, both of his older brothers were counselors, and his second oldest brother, who unfortunately passed away, he was a freaking awesome counselor, and he was voted, like, best counselor for years, and he was my sister's counselor, and my sister loved him, and all of her friends loved him, and he was, like, really cool. And, like, my friend Jake was a counselor, and he was a great counselor. My friend Mike and I were counselors together and would hang out, and he was a great counselor. And I had one other friend that I made from working as a counselor together, and we ended up going to the same college. She was a few years older than me, and I bought all of her furniture when she moved out, and I'm actually still using that desk that I bought from her. And, like, she and I would nerd out about Harry Potter all the time, and, like, we still keep in touch, like, very sparingly now, but she was really cool. It was just that there was some people who just had privilege, and they knew they wouldn't get in trouble, and they were just assholes. They were jock assholes, and that's the thing. Like, I lived in a very white, jockey neighborhood, like affluent jockey neighborhood. I mean, what can you expect when you're like, you know, half of the community has like a beachfront water view? Like, you can expect a certain behavior of sorts, and those kids were dicks. Not the kids, but the fellow counselors.
Because I was going to ask, what was the general like age range of you and the other counselors, and then what was the general age range of the kids that you were looking after at camp?
The kids, it fluctuated with the kids, because at one point, it was like ages 6 to, I don't know, how old are you when you go into middle school? Like 12?
Generally around like 11 or 12 or so, yeah.
So it was like 6 to 12, and then they introduced like a younger group that was, I guess, like 4 and 5. So it became like really young to like 12. And then once you were 12 or 13 onwards, you were able to be a counselor in training and then a counselor. And the counselors' ages ranged. Most of them were like high school and college kids, though. Very rarely did you have someone older than that. And like, it's not to say that like there weren't asshole kids, because there were, and there was a few who like were just hated me because the other guy hated me, and they were just jerks. And I was like, come on, why would you be like that, guys? There's this one girl who was just always a little brat, and I hated her. But most of the kids were pretty cool. There was a few kids who were just jerks, and then there was a handful of kids who were my buddies, and they always liked to talk to me about games and about whatever I liked, because a lot of them liked it too, and they liked, like, especially games. Like, kids love to talk about Kingdom Hearts at that time and Zelda and shit. So that was cool, because I could relate to them on that level.
But, yeah, of course.
Oh, one thing that was cool was that I had a younger group of kids at one point, and one of the girls, she was interested in Sailor Moon, so I brought some of my older Sailor Moon manga, and we read it in different voices together. So that was cool, and that was like a pretty young group. I think they were like 7 or 8, and and one of those kids was really, really cute. His dad was a vet, and he really liked to collect crabs from the water, and then he would, put them back at the end of the day so they didn't die. And that was cute. I remember babysitting him once, and he introduced me to all of his pets because he had a lot. But like, most of the kids were good. They weren't super bratty. On occasion, you would have like a really weird kid who didn't quite belong in camp. Like, whether it was because they had anger issues or they just had sociability issues. Like, I definitely had kids who didn't really register that they were supposed to listen to me, like, as a counselor. And that could either be because they had some sort of, like, special thing going on, or they were just dicks, and they just thought that they could... Like, and I'm dead serious that there was some on each side. And, like, I'm like, you shouldn't have your kid come to camp if they can't play nice,
Right, yeah.
And there was definitely kids who couldn't play nice. Like, they would be really mean or aggressive, or they wouldn't listen to their counselors. So that was always frustrating.
Right.
Because... there's only so much you can do, and then, just tell the mom and dad, like, hey, your kid wasn't being good today. Like, please teach them how to be friendly and not steal young Jimmy's toys.
Okay, so actually, this is a perfect. Well, I want to let you finish, but this is actually a perfect transition into my final story I wanted to share.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to share about. There's one girl who I had as a camper who I really felt was like getting abused or something. There was some really weird shit going on in her family, and like her parents were getting divorced, and like her dad's girlfriend would come down to camp sometimes, and it was all like very strange.
Yeah.
And I remember telling one of the camp directors at one point, like, hey, I just am getting a weird feeling about this, and it was just very strange, that entire situation. Hopefully that maybe I was wrong about it, but I don't think I ever found anything out in regards to that. One of the camp kids that I had, he emailed me a few months ago, and he found out he knew who I was because he watched, get ready for it, a Honey Pop video.
Oh no.
And saw my name and realized that he had me as a counselor, and he commented on the video that he knew me, and I can read the email right here. Hi,
are you trying to find it?
Hi, my name is Redacted. You might remember me from Redacted Beach Summer Camp. You were one of my counselors in 4th grade. I was a tall black kid that was afraid of water. Anyway, I'm 15 and in 10th grade now. I remember the YouTube channel you gave me when I was younger. I looked it up, did research, and now I'm here. Just thought I'd contact you to see what you were doing and if you remember me. But I can now safely say that I know a famous person.
Of all fucking characters for him to find a video of, it had to be of fucking Audrey.
Yeah.
Of all things.
And he gave me
his
Skype, and I was like, I don't really do this. And
I don't want to do this. And now that you've heard noises of me making sexual sounds, this is weird. Like.
Yeah. I found out that you voiced a character named Audrey from a game called Honey Pop. I looked it up, and it seems very ... interesting. Anyway, on the video containing all your voice files from the game, you might have seen a guy named Geometry-Mega Man saying that I know you. Actually, you did, because you replied. That was me. Please don't think I'm a stalker.
Oh my god. Well, congratulations, your fucking life caught up with you.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then he emailed me again. I don't know if I actually responded to it, and he was like, just wondering, do you know this kid? He's a friend of mine at school, and he told me he knows you from Play and Trade, which is where I worked last year.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
At the video game store, and I was like, worlds colliding, leave me alone.
No, weren't you meeting people there that were like, oh my god, you know Kirblog or whatever? Like, didn't you tell me a couple times that happened?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm sorry.
And Kira, and like basically everyone. I remember when Erica was announced as being in Kill la Kill, they were talking about Erica, and I was just there like, don't say anything, just
don't say anything about how you know everybody in this show.
Yeah, and they're talking about, there was times where they've talked about Lucian, and when they were talking about Attack on Titan.
Jesus Christ. So my ultimate final camp story that I hope you'll be able to hear most of without Skype being fucking stupid. Okay, so there was one year, I believe it was the year before the one where Mike Lucas was with me, because Pokemon was out by this time. So this would have been maybe like 98, maybe 97, don't know. But, excuse me. So there was one year that my mom decided to enroll me in a very different day camp. Not Camp We Love 'Em, which I'd been to for I think at least like 3 years before that. She decided to enroll me in a different one this time. The difference with this one is, I believe it was called Camp Kahila. This
Tequila.
one, no, Kahila.
Tequila.
Not tequila. Fuck off. And it was part of like a massive like a learning center or like a home or something. I don't know. It had and it was a very nice facility. It had like a massive like multiple pools and stuff. Like it was as far as the actual like place itself, it was a really nice facility. The camp itself, which also this was far away. This was like a good maybe 45 minutes away from where it was on Long Island. At least the drive was. And this camp was specifically for kids who had disabilities or issues or, like syndromes, etc. And, I've taught here and there on other Kirblogs, I have Asperger's syndrome. It's a type of autism. So my mom thought at the time, at my, ripe young age of like 10 or whatever, that I would maybe do a little bit better at this camp compared to Camp We Love 'Em, which by that point, it was pretty clear that I really didn't enjoy it. So I went to this camp, and let me give you an idea of the first day, because I mean, look, I was weird as a kid too. I was loud and obnoxious and annoying and obsessive with stuff, of course.
Man, me
but I
too,
went to,
Chris. We should have been friends
Yeah.
as kids.
Clearly, yeah, clearly we should have, even though you would have been like in like a different like level of school than I was, and that would have been weird probably. But either way, so okay, actually the trip home was the best way that I could describe this. Okay, so there was a kid on the bus with me heading back home.
Oh, you had buses.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we were taken there by bus. And there was a kid on this bus who was absolutely like losing his fucking mind. He was just like freaking out about like he wanted to get home like immediately. He was just like really like having like a major like a legit anxiety attack. And I was pretty on top of my shit throughout the whole time I was there, like because compared to a lot of these other kids, my issues were a lot less, I guess, like severe, or a lot less like outward, I guess you could say. So, and actually there was only one other kid that I met who was about the same level of like, I guess, balanced as I was, and that was because, and this is how I learned about what medication was, because he was on medication. So therefore he was able to cope with being, normal most of the time. Or at least, come off as being pretty normal. But
so are you saying you were the normal kid here?
I was probably one of the more normal kids at this camp, yes. Because again, this is not to.
What was it that you said you were probably one of the?
I was one of the comparatively more like normal behaviored kids, and okay, just to clarify here, because I don't want this to come off the wrong way. When I say that, I am not like talking down to these kids or whatever. Just the truth of the matter was, the fact is that a lot of these other kids, the grand majority of the other kids at this camp, had like more severe and more serious issues than I did at the time. So just like with them, it was a lot more difficult to just like, function as just people, But so anyway, but on the way back, there was this one kid, and he was in the bus, and he was freaking out. And I had something left over in my lunchbox to eat that I brought with me, and he was like, "I'm really hungry. Could I please? Do you have anything to eat?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I had like some smart food popcorn or some bullshit or whatever." And I gave him the popcorn. He ate it. He said, "Thank you so much."
He had an allergic reaction and died.
No. No. I wasn't like bothered by the kid. He was like nice enough, but he was freaking out, and I was trying to like keep him together and like, hey, it's gonna be okay. Like, I know this is a long ride, but we'll be home before you know it. Don't worry.
Chris,
and I think
you keep cutting out during your story.
Oh my God! I wish that my internet connection didn't suck a fat cock right now. Whatever. Anyway, so the kid was eating it, and then after a little while,
wait, he was eating the fat cock, or he was eating the smart.
Yeah, he was eating the. Yeah, good. Yeah, this is making for a great fucking Kirblog, guys. Jesus Christ. So then like another.
You gave him the popcorn. I missed the part of the story.
Yeah. He was eating the popcorn, and then another like maybe 15-20 minutes later, he was like, "I really have to go to the bathroom," and I'm like, "Well, you still have to wait till we get off." He's like, "Okay, if I go to the bathroom in my own lunchbox, can you please not tell anybody?" And I'm like,
what?
If he asked me if he could pee in his own lunchbox, and if I wouldn't tell the bus driver so nobody would freak out and think it was weird.
Oh God.
So he pees in the lunchbox.
Chris, what if this kid grew up and he's watching this Kirblog right now?
I sincerely.
That kid told me you wouldn't tell anyone that I peed in the lunchbox.
Well, I didn't even get the kid's name, so clearly nobody will know his identity. But so I'm looking away, and I'm just like, I can't fucking believe this is my life right now. So he pees in the lunchbox, and probably had to dump that and wash it, and it was disgusting, and that happened. And then I went home, and this was after the first day. I get home, and my mom was like, open arms. "Oh, how was your first day at Camp Kahila, honey?" And I was like, I think I just looked at her like glare daggers and didn't say a fucking thing. And I just went inside and watched like Wild Thornberries or some shit.
Did you have to go back?
So, yes, and I had to go back. And then I was like, "Mom, I can't believe I'm saying this. Can I please go back to Camp We Love Him?" So I went back to Camp We Love Him for a little while. And then I was like, wow, Camp We Love Him is still just as bad, and it's even worse, I think. So I left Camp We Love Him, and then I went back to Camp Kahila. This was the same summer, by the way. This was the same fucking summer the entire year of that year, right? So I go back to Camp Kahila, and I meet another kid this time. So I reunite with the one kid who was on medication that was like relatively normal, and then I meet another kid whose name was Danny. I remember his name was Danny, and Danny was also really big into Pokemon at the time. Just like all of the fucking country was. Actually, in fact, Brittany, just to have some participation here. When you were really young, did you hear through like magazines or on the internet somewhere about like the famous like cut episodes of Pokemon, like the one about the guy with the gun and the one that caused the seizures and all that stuff? Did you hear about that like when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, but I knew about them by the time I was like in middle school.
Okay, yeah. So like you had probably heard like down the grapevine from like other kids that were into it or whatever, right? Like some. Okay.
I was fucking obsessed with Pokemon as a kid. I remember I used to have like a song and a dance I would do when I was getting ready to watch it when I was like a kid.
This was like the year that it like really hit and became fucking massive. And there was a magazine I had that was talking about what was at the time like the 5 legendary like cut episodes of Pokemon, most of which aired later except for the Porygon one and the Safari Zone one with the guy with the gun or whatever. But I was telling like everybody about these episodes. And Danny, I think, was with me as I was telling all these other kids that we met, because, again, everybody was into Pokemon at that time. So I was telling people about them all over, like, I'm the cool guy that knows, like, all the secret shit about Pokemon that other people don't know about. Yeah, I'm so cool or whatever, right? So we were on one of the buses that was taking us to some place, like, for one of the parts of the camp that day or whatever, because we would, like, it was a big facility, and we got, like, carted around to different places throughout the day, depending on whatever it was, right? So I'm on this bus with Danny and the other kid who was cool, and we're talking to this other person about the Pokemon episodes. Danny was trying to, like, get in on the story and, like, tell it with me because he wanted to participate, which, was totally fair enough. But I kept talking over him, which, wow, big fucking surprise. Chris talks a lot and talks over other people. Wow, that's never fucking happened before. Yeah. So, and I guess Danny didn't like that after a while, and he was getting really, really annoyed. And I didn't know that he was getting really annoyed. And then he unleashed his really, really annoyed by pinning me down and choking me.
Oh my god!
In the middle of talking about, like, the fucking Porygon episode, blah, 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 whatever, after interrupting him probably for the 3rd or 4th time, I just am stopped. And I believe this was the first time in any kind of public setting, and I hope that, and thank God nobody blamed me for this, that I said, "What the fuck are you doing?" as I'm getting choked. So I said the F word out loud in front of a lot of other people, but I was like, I'm getting choked. Hopefully nobody cares. That's, not a priority right now. But yeah, so he tried choking me. Now, on the outwardly part of it, again, probably just because I needed to cling to whatever level of sanity I could with anybody that I could talk to for the hours I was there, we got over it and he was like, "I'm sorry." And I'm like, "It's okay, don't worry about it." But I was pissed off. Like, I was not okay with that. So I didn't quite know.
How did your mom take that you were choked at your camp?
I don't remember. I actually don't remember if I even. I'm sure I probably told her, but I don't remember what the reaction was to that. But either way, yeah. So after that happened, and now you were talking before about getting revenge on the prick that was like getting on you when you were a counselor. So this was kind of my revenge. This is the big story that I wanted to tell. Okay, so. One of the other big things that I was getting into kind of around that same time was a show that I probably shouldn't have been watching that young, but everybody was watching it that young, was South Park. And my favorite character was Kenny, because I just thought he was cool and funny and etc. Excuse me. So one day, me and Danny and the other kid whose name I can't remember, we were down by the pool. And we had to go change into our bathing suit. So we had to go separate for a second, right? So I went off and I had my towel. And I put the towel over my head and only showed my eye. And I went back and I reintroduced myself to Danny. And I reintroduced myself to Danny with this towel over my face, only showing my eye. And I was like, "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Kenny." And he believed me. He believed me to be a different person for the entire rest of the duration of when I was at Camp Kahila for the rest of that year. And for the rest of that year, I was going back and forth as Chris and as Kenny. And I made up a whole fucking story about, oh, I have this, like, you know, because I was coming up with, like, an issue that he has. Oh, I have, like, major anxiety because I have this. And this is totally not okay. Don't ever do this, people. This is not cool. But I made up a story about, oh, I'm, like, really anxious and I don't want to show my face because I was in a really bad accident last year. And, like, I have a big scar on my face and it's really gross and I don't want people to see it. So I just feel safer when I'm wearing this blanket. This is like making fun of people who have, like, real issues before I knew. I was like 11. I had no idea that, like, this is not an okay thing to do. So I'm not saying, like, oh, haha, this is so funny. Don't do this, kids. This is not something that's okay. But I did this as a stupid young kid. But the thrill was coming from specifically that I was, like, fooling this kid who, you know, tried choking me into thinking that there was this other kid. And I made up this whole other story about, oh, my family is poor, you know, like with Kenny, because I assumed he just hadn't seen South Park and just didn't get the joke that I was parodying. You know, I made up this whole story about, oh, my parents are poor, and my dad's job, which I stole from fucking, you know, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I was reading the book at the time. Oh, yeah, my dad's job is, like, screwing the caps onto toothpaste bottles or whatever, you know, some bullshit like that, which was not even realistic. And this kid bought it, and I kept this up for the entire rest of the fucking year, and it was absolutely insane. So, and I remember I did tell my parents about that, and I think my dad was like, you gotta stop doing that. That's ridiculous. I think he even knew. It was like, this isn't okay. But I kept doing it, and I think I had a mind to on what I knew was the last day or the last time I was gonna be there to just, you know, come over to him and take the towel off and be like, it was me the whole time, motherfucker, and just run off. And I didn't end up doing that, probably because I wanted to live with the, you know, with convincing myself, you know, because maybe there was a part of me that thought, oh, maybe he knew that I was bullshitting the whole time, or, you know, maybe I was getting played or whatever. He was just, you know, humoring me or some shit. You know, but I never ended up revealing myself as it was me all along or whatever, but yeah, that was kind of the end of that experience. And then I think after that, I think I only ever had one more year where I was at Camp We Love 'Em after that, like the following year. And then I was like, Mom, I'm done with camp. I can stay home and play video games and draw and whatever, and I can just live with that. And then that was it. And that was the end of my history with camp, period. And that was it.
I don't want to end it quite yet. I had something I wanted to say.
Oh, sure, go for it.
So I just tweeted to my 3 friends who I said we went to camp together. And I said, you know, like, do you guys remember the horror that was beach camp? And then, like, my one friend was like, I kind of didn't mind it. I got to hang out with you guys all day and throw dodgeballs at children while being a child. And I was like, all right. And then he goes, wait, am I the only one who liked it? Like, shit, I did get that weird skin-eating virus from it. And I totally forgot about that. There was all sorts of viruses and shit that would go around. Like, lice and, like, that shit, that, like, skin-eating virus and whatever the fuck would happen from the goddamn water and being... Oh, God.
Jesus. Yeah, no, I didn't have anything that bad. So, I think you topped my experience in terms of, like, bad shit that happened to you by a fucking, like, you know, 100 miles, but...
There's so much more, too. I could go on and on. I'm sure I missed so many good stories, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. Oh, one time a kid pooped in the sink in the bathroom.
Ew! That's grosser than the peeing in the lunchbox part, so...
Yeah. We also were forced to do, like, dances, too.
I'm sorry.
One year we did the dance to, like, some Shrek song, and I had to be Princess Fiona because I'm the ugly one. Good times.
Oh, you weren't the ugly one. You were the cutest one, and everybody knew that.
No. I did have, like, when I was a kid, though, I did have, like, platinum blonde hair for years. Like, until I don't know at what age my hair darkened out. Definitely by like 5th grade, but like, by 5th grade I had like the dirty blonde hair that I have now. But like when I was a kid, I had like white hair.
Did you? What was the was the kid who was making fun of your boobs? Was he like just? Was it because you had the biggest boobs in the entire camp at the time?
Probably.
Because you guys were like teenagers.
Well, I mean, like the kid who was making fun of my boobs, he was the same one who was doing the dodgeball shit.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Oh,
so, like,
guest appearance by Raven. Hi, Poppy.
Yeah. Raven, quiet down.
Raven, you don't have any camp stories. You can't be part of this one.
Yeah, you know, there is something that's called Camp Bow Wow that exists, but I've never taken her.
Ew, yeah, don't do that. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, she doesn't like people. I mean, dogs. She likes people, not other dogs.
Oh.
She doesn't recognize herself as a dog. I'm holding you now.
As a doge.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, no, the boob comments. Those were by the time I was like a teenager. I was like 16 and had boobs. So
At all.
Yeah. But I mean, I do remember getting teased when I was like in 5th grade for like having boobs before other kids had boobs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, I don't know. What's better? Or what's worse is getting made fun of for having them, or being sought after by everybody for having them.
I mean, like, it quickly turned into the other. You wouldn't understand, Chris. You don't have boobs.
No, I wouldn't, and I'm not fat enough to have man boobs either. Thank Christ.
You are nowhere near that point in your life. You were like negative.
Well, on that nipply note to end on.
Nipply note.
Jesus, I'm so sorry.
Raven's staring at me.
Well,
and she's like, "What are you saying?"
Why are you talking about breasts? I don't like this. As a woman dog, as a bitch, I am.
Oh my God, that reminds me, on an unrelated juuden-chan self-promotion note.
Oh, good.
I can't wait for you to hear what Billy Bob Thompson did as the character bitch in Juuden-chan.
Is the character's name actually
Yes!
bitch?
Yes, it is.
Well, I guess on that note, I was going to say, hey, thanks for joining me, and do you want to plug your stupid anime bullshit to everybody? It's not stupid. I'm fucking joking.
Whatever.
But please tell people about it.
Just
No,
never
please. I'm actually
now.
excited.
That's it.
Oh no.
Never.
That's all.
I'm kidding. I
No,
don't know if you cut out.
no,
or
go
you
ahead.
need silent treatment, man.
No, I'm just cutting out. I'm sorry, everyone. Everyone, as in Brittany, for the fucking technical issues. No, tell everybody about what you're working on and what stuff that they should check out and where they can find you and blah blah blah.
Well, you won't find me at day camp ever again. That's for sure.
No.
My father asked me when I was home. He was like, "Brittany, I really want you to do me a favor. I want you to come on the boat, bring Raven, and we're gonna go fishing." And I had to go down to that beach, and I just had like.
PTSD flashbacks.
Yeah, I was like, ugh. And like, there's this giant raft float thing that was in the water that kids were jumping off, and I was like, I remember being pushed off that thing. And of course, I see like kids that I grew up with who like they definitely don't recognize me, but I recognize them because they have the same exact face and they're jocks that like never changed. And I was like, wow, you're still here.
God.
You live a depressing life.
I don't know. You don't know that. Maybe they're happy playing volleyball like fucking golden tanned, douchebags out in the fucking sun every day. I don't know.
I'm happy.
Or they go home and they're sad.
I'm happy doing what I do. And what I do
That's true.
is slick transitions like this.
Whoa!
I directed a show recently called Charge It Girl Juuden-chan. And it's actually, I think the DVD title is going to be Juuden-chan Recharged because it was previously released subtitled only, and now it'll have a dub. And the dub is real cool, and it'll be coming out sometime in August, which is pretty soon. And I did the directing and the casting for that, and I wrote half of the script, and I play the lead character because, hell, I just do it all. And it's pretty funny.
Oh, look at me. I'm Brittany Lauda. I fucking cast myself as the lead character. That's not true,
no,
though, obviously, in this case.
This was something that I was cast at a year ago before it was decided that I'd be directing and casting it. I mean, I had an idea that I'd probably be doing it, but John from Media Blasters was like, "We're gonna do a Juuden-chan. You want to play Plug?" And I was like, "Okay."
Sure. Say no to a lead character? No, I'll just take it. Whatever.
I mean, like, I honestly can't imagine who else I would cast for the role, she's a whack job. So I'm a whack job. It works out.
Yeah.
I mean,
got
you're a
boobs
loudmouth. Maybe you
in it.
could have played Plug.
Yeah, maybe I could have played juuden-chan. But my boobs aren't nearly good enough and erect enough nipples to be playing a character in that show, sadly.
Yeah, Plug has smaller boobs than Aresta, who is played by Kira Buckland.
That's true.
Aresta has the bigger boobies. But,
Good.
You know.
Thank you. Also, I do need to ask, does anybody in that show pee in a lunchbox specifically?
No, but there is pee. Because
unfortunately,
it's a weird thing. I don't know. I swear they had like a pee counter. Like they were like, all right, our sponsors want us to get X amount of pee scenes in, and they like started, and I put the pee scenes in, and then they like started to get into a groove in the actual plot, and they like stopped putting the pee in, and they're like, shit, we didn't meet our pee quota. Quick, add 3 more pee scenes in the last 5 minutes of the show. And there you have it.
So other than the urination. It's actually quite a cute show, so I recommend checking it out.
It's really good. It's about these Charger girls who basically their job is to prevent people from going into depression, and they help solve people's problems, but they can't be seen except by this one guy who's our main male character. He can, for some reason, see the Charger girls and helps them out on some of their charging journeys, and they go around trying to make people happy, and it's pretty cute.
Yeah. And where can they find you specifically on the social medias?
You can find me on Tweepo, and by that I mean Twitter. At Brittany Lauda VO, or Facebook, which should be the same thing. And I have an Instagram that I have neglected, but do post really cute videos of my dog on every so often, and that is Bree Loud. Yeah, that's all my social media shit. And if you're in New York City, I'm going to be at Liberty City Anime Con in a few weeks.
Sweet.
And that'll be fun. We're gonna do a big Media Blasters panel, and it'll be cool. I think the people confirmed for a Media Blasters voice acting panel right now are me, Matt Shipman, Jesse Nowak, and Cheryl Lee, and we all were in Juden, but we were also in other things. God, yeah. I can't wait for you also to hear Jessie in Juden. She sounds so good.
As cute, purple-haired tomboy girl who's my favorite from what I've seen.
She's also, like, literally the character is just Jessie, and I'm just like, Jessie, I just need you to play Jessie, and she's like, all right, cool, dude.
So okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
And there was times where I'd just be like, can you bring a little more Jessie to it? And she's like, oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. I was just fucking messaging her last night because she edits shit for Elite 3 until, like, butt fucking o'clock in the morning, and I'm just like, go to sleep, you fucking clod.
Yeah.
And she's like, no.
I had dinner with Elite 3 when I was at Kineticon, and, like, they're like, yeah, our work hours are, like, all day, every day, all night, 24/7.
It's like, stop that.
Work all time.
Sleep on a fucking normal schedule, you idiots. I love you guys.
They're great.
All right, cool. Well, also, one last plug, because we mentioned our friends at Axe Studios. Y2K, a postmodern RPG, is going to be coming out, I believe, very soon.
Yeah, it should be coming out very soon. I don't want to say a date, because I don't know a date. Last I heard, it was going to be August, so hopefully it's still August, but you never know.
Yeah, it should be within the year, because it's basically done. They're just putting some polish and getting the different ports for different consoles, because it's going to be on all major consoles, which is awesome.
We're replacing all of Chris's voiceover with myself because I'm better
No.
than him, so that'll take some time.
Yeah, she's great at playing mid-20s ginger, like
it was a joke.
hipster douchebags. No, I'm not. God damn it! All right, I'm gonna fucking end this before this is a disaster. No, Brittany was her fantastic voice director on that game. She did a great job. I had a wonderful time voicing the main character of that game, Alex. Go check that out.
Chris only made me cry a whole lot.
It was a great experience. I was really happy doing that. So I hope you all play that and enjoy it. I'll do a Kirblog about the game too when it comes out. So, anywho, that's
Did you
it.
Say any boo or any
so
boobs?
any boo, any boo. Okay, well, any boobs. No, specifically.
Oh no!
No, it's okay. Specifically Brittany's boobs. She doesn't hear this anyway. I'm so sorry, everyone. Okay, in the comments below, for fuck's sake, if you have any funny stories about how my audio cuts out. No, not really. If you have any funny stories about going to day camp, or rather horrible stories about going to day camp, leave a comment. Tell us your stories. If you have any feedback about ours or whatever that you can relate to or whatever, anything you feel like. And if you have future Kirblog topic ideas, leave a comment about that. Maybe another one involving Brittany if you like. About
we'll talk
anything
all about
regarding
peeing
her
in
and what she
lunchboxes,
does.
guys.
Yeah, because we'll have so much to say about that, really. We have so much experience in that, secondhand, thankfully. But we could write a whole fucking thesis about that. Hit me up, Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, the usual bullshit, whatever. That's it. Goodbye. Don't pee in lunchboxes. It's not healthy. Bye.
Bye, kiddos.